Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
This is Khan John Turk, the host of the Blind Apex Podcast. And on this episode, we're going to do a HYPERFEST wrap-up. Joining me is Steve Brown, repeat offender on the Blind Apex Podcast, last year's regional champion. Welcome to the show, bud.
Thanks. Good to be back. We had an eventful HYPERFEST weekend, as they usually are. It started off with a little bit of surprises at the gate.
Yeah. If anyone plans to attend HYPERFEST, this is, especially if you're a driver, you need to show up on Thursday, period. Any hot tips on your end?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is that there's more of a show on Friday now. And so there's a lot more spectators coming in on Friday. The lines are longer. If you have anything at all going on, it's a lot harder to get in. It's slower just because there's, a few thousand other people in line. And because of that, the paddock is also going to fill up pretty much immediately Thursday evening. So finding a spot that's coordinated around people you want to paddock with, if that's at all important to you, arriving on Thursday will probably help a lot. I know they're going to have new procedures next year. I hope that they're more clearly communicated if and however they choose to make adjustments to the entry procedures next year. I know I waited for 20 minutes behind the NASA registration trailer and nothing happened. My theory is they probably lost internet, couldn't scan tickets anymore, and eventually reverted to a paper list where they were just writing the name down from the ticket and giving you your wristband and sending you on your way because they weren't scanning once the line started moving. And once it was moving okay. But if that kind of hiccup was common, again on Friday as well, I can imagine pretty clearly why there were so many delays and so much confusion.
Yeah. I've gone to basically every HYPERFEST since 2001, 2002, whenever the first year was. And my wife pointed out to me on Saturday that this is basically a 3-day event. There's things going on Friday, Saturday, and there was even things going on Sunday. Now, Sunday, things are wrapping up. They're dialing things down, but the drifters are still going. I think there were drift ride-alongs still. The off-road park stuff was still going. So, as a racer, I take off Thursday, Friday, and Monday. Just so everybody realizes, we're recording the Monday after HYPERFEST, and both of our track hangovers probably still in full effect. Like, we had a lot going on, a lot to pack up, a long drive home, and the Monday after really wears on you. So, and again, I think if you show up Thursday when the racers show up, that might be an issue too. Hopefully things get changed up there. You're right. The internet probably did go down because they were scanning things off our phone when we arrived.
And I know Sunday I had internet. Friday I had internet on my phone. Saturday I didn't have any signal all day until I went to the top of the hill for the Power Wheels race. And then all of a sudden I started getting updates and I could tell people what was happening and things like that. We'll get into our personal event stories, I think later on. But for a while I was kind of unable to get on hold of anybody back home to let them know what was going on, or anybody at the track to let them know what was happening either, which was kind of problematic because I had some stuff going on that could have been helpful to tell people about quicker,
right?
Instead of riding my bike a mile to go say hi and maybe they're there, maybe they're not.
Yeah, I mean, my scooter was out of battery by the time everything was done. I'm surprised it lasted 3.5-ish days, running around Virginia International Raceway because it's just a big complex. But yeah,
my legs were sore. I don't know how many trips I made back and forth to the drift paddock at the top of the hill.
Oh, I got my steps in every day. I'll tell you that, even with a scooter. So, bring good shoes if you're showing up. Doesn't matter what side of the world you're on. The HYPERFEST activity side or the race side. You bring good shoes. Bring lots of water. We froze a case of water, put it in our cooler. Actually, multiple cases of water ended up in our cooler. And I think we had 2 bottles left over. So I think we brought, for my wife and I, we brought 72. So we drank 70 waters between the two of us in 3 days. And that doesn't include our Nalgene bottles that we were refilling at the good thing about VIR, they put in a Nalgene water bottle filling station at the bathrooms, at least in the paddock area. So that was helpful for us. I saw people they look like lobsters. Everybody should be bringing sunscreen when you hit HYPERFEST or any festival, really.
Anytime you're outside for the majority of a multi-day event, sunscreen is going to be important, especially when you have bright sunny weather for those days. So how'd Friday go for you? I know how it went for me.
Well, so Friday was the HFGT race.
No, that was Saturday.
No, yeah, that was qualifying.
We did the HFGT qualifying.
Yeah, that's right. HFGT qualifying. It was okay. It's the first time I drove the car with the new alignment specs in it. So it definitely worked. The direction I went with my alignment in the past wasn't optimal, and the new alignment is, and it was a lot to learn. I've never driven a car this loose before. It doesn't mean it's slow.
So
it's much faster loose. So
let's talk about the changes you were making that were causing you to slow down, and the changes you made the other way that made you go quicker.
Well, so it's different because your Golden Era Honda is a double wishbone car, and my McPherson Struck car, we were using the same theories, right? So last year I was running 1/8 of an inch toe out up front total. I was running max camber because it's a McPherson Struck car, even in the rear because I needed to clear tires. And then I had 0 toe in the rear. And last year, it was a little pushy. And so I wanted to go from a little pushy to a little loose. So we added toe out to my car.
In the rear.
In the rear. So during race 1 and race 2, race weekend 1, race weekend 2 this year, I had toe out. And I would destroy a brand new set of Toyos every weekend, even at VIR. Now, Summit Point, I can understand more. It's tighter. You're required to carry more speed and be on the throttle more in the carousel. And it's just really hard on your driver's outside tire. So your driver's side front tire for our cars anyway.
Yeah.
So I can understand it a little more there, but it's not sustainable. I can't buy $608 worth of tires every time I go to the racetrack. It's not sustainable for me to do practice days, right? One practice day means I'm burning down half life on a set of tires. So that's another $304 on top of whatever I'm paying to get there, gas, all that jazz. So I needed to loosen up the car to see if it helped. So I got in touch with somebody on the Honda America race team, the Heart team. I think that's what they are, Honda America race team, something like that. The Heart group that runs Hondas from the factory. And they were like, oh, well, I know they still race in 8th gen in endurance racing. And he sent me their alignment specs. And I sent him mine, and he goes, really, you need to try toe in the rear. So that's what I did. I'm not sure it's going to work for every McPherson strut car or every 8th gen because the rear end has a really weird dynamic toe curve. But to me, it made sense, right? I was at 0 toe. I went to toe out. Toe out made the car worse. So then I went to toe in because I wasn't going to add more toe out to see if more toe out fixed it. I went the opposite direction, about the same amount of toe in as I had toe out before, and it really freed the car up. The rear of this car has a really big dynamic curve to it, and it's ride height sensitive. So it depends on where you're set, where you have the car set.
Yep.
But maybe it will help you if you have an 8th gen, 9th gen Civic that's really pushy. You know, if you've been doing what I was doing, which is the traditional method, what works on your car, Steve, is to add toe out. I went to toe in and it freed the car up. And I'll tell you, I didn't burn down. I burned down like 0.8 millimeter of tire. And that was doing qualifying on Friday, racing HFGT Saturday, doing practice Saturday, qualifying Saturday, but I missed the race, the Honda Challenge race on Saturday, and then racing Sunday, 2 races on Sunday.
Twice.
Yeah. So going from 2 mils a day on a Toyo RR, which is a 4 mil tread depth tire, to 0.8 over what's equal to about 2 days worth of racing for me, that's completely acceptable.
Yeah, you cut your wear down by what, half or a quarter?
A quarter.
Or 3/4?
Yeah, I'm at 3/4 almost. That's 3/4 at VIR. I'll take half at Summit Point. I'll throw a new set on because I have 2 new sets, and I'll throw a new set on for Summit. Measure that from brand new, and then we'll see. And since Summit's tighter, we'll see what happens there. Maybe it's not free enough, but it definitely was for VIR. So qualifying was okay. I didn't go as fast as I wanted to, but the car was really woken up, and it was just a different car to drive. So I had a lot to get used to, and I'm a little slow as a driver to respond to that kind of stuff, I think. So it's all seat time for me. So that's what I worked on Friday, even during qualifying. So how'd qualifying going for you?
On Saturday, qualifying was okay. I made some setup changes.
What about Friday qualifying, HFGT qualifying?
Yeah, we should probably start there. So I was only out to scrub in some new front tires because I have Toyo Bucks and I started to use them. So I had 2 new front tires and I'd not run stickers, but I was scrubbing in a full set. So now I have those to bounce back and forth on the front axle, and I'll use my old junk on the rear. That went fine. The car easily did like a 20.5 with me kind of being pretty rusty, not having been at VIR in 6-8 months, something like that. And, just trying to remember where the track goes, what the car likes, feeling out the new tires. The front definitely had a lot more grip with the stickers than I was used to. And then that sort of led into some changes on handling. So we knew that once I threw the old tires back on the back, the balance would change. So the decision was go out in the warm-up on Saturday and feel the car out and then make some adjustments. So it was a little overly loose when we went through that. So we made some tire pressure adjustments and softened the sway bar 1 notch on the lower control arm. And then we went out in the HFGT race, and there was a lot of traffic, but the car felt really good. I could maneuver around other cars that were fighting for position, and that wasn't wasn't a major issue. It felt nice and predictable, and it felt like it was progressive in how it would proceed through a corner. Unfortunately, there were some other issues, but between Friday qualifying and the Saturday warm-up, it ran another second a lap quicker. Again, sort of taking it easy. Unfortunately, I had some issues once we got into the HFGT race. I was following our other Honda Challenge guy, Nav, and he was having a good fight with an E46 that was pretty hard to pass and somewhat annoying. Unfortunately, after a few laps, the car felt a little funny, like it was a little down on power. Mm-hmm. And then I looked over at my gauges, and the power switch for my gauges were off. So I flicked those on coming through South Bend. Saw north of 300 on oil temp and about 40 degrees hotter than normal on water temp as my cabin filled with smoke a little bit.
Oh.
So then I kind of backed out of it going through Oak Tree because I realized I had a problem. And then I noticed a clattering noise. So I limped it back into the pits, and by the time I was, making a way through the paddock, the noise was pretty noticeable. And, so definitely rod knocked all the way in. And so then I shut it off. We tried to restart it. It didn't even want to crank. Like, it tried really slow, growling crank, but didn't fire up. Half an hour later, we got it to fire up.
Right.
And confirmed, yes, that does, in fact, sound like rod knock. And so it sat there until I loaded up on Sunday, because I sleep in the trailer, so unless I'm leaving Saturday night, the car was going to sleep outside.
Yeah, that's super unfortunate. Running B-Series stuff, it can be a little hard to find these days. So if anybody's got a B-Series motor, I don't know how amenable you are to a B16, but if anybody's got one, at least a block maybe. You were running GSR, right?
Yeah, so any VTEC 1.8 liter block should be acceptable. B18C1, B18C2, even though that's not in the rules, I think I can put in a rules request and just ask people not to protest me at the regional level.
I won't protest you, but I got away with a lot for a while.
I think you gotta beat people before they start protesting.
I don't beat anybody either, so.
Come on, you got a podium this weekend.
Sorta.
So yeah, I'm in the market for any sort of B18 short block or long block. That would be ideal, just to not change too much up, just to stick with the GSR stuff. But if other options make themselves available, the car can make the weight pretty much regardless of whatever B-Series engine we put in there. So if you have anything, let me know.
Yeah, reach out. What are you, Steve, at Steve Brown Racing on Instagram? Any other way they need to reach out to you?
I'm pretty on top of the direct messages there. Yeah, I think that's the best way, because YouTube has the same name, but no good messaging options. So
right.
Let's stick with Instagram.
Yeah, reach out if you have anything you need to unload. He's looking because he needs to get more seat time. Let's talk a little bit about your lap times, though. So in HFGT, because you added power,
they
right?
Were bad.
Were they?
Yeah, we were really stuck behind that E46. Yeah. Nav was hitting the brakes and the uphill S's behind him.
Oh.
And I was trying not to hit Nav.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So, what happens when, you don't go up the S's flat, you lose a second. Well, when you're tapping the brakes to not hit somebody who's normally out of class, in a fun race, we did a 22.5 or something stupid.
Oh, wow.
It was just not even worth writing home about because we couldn't get any clean laps. It's to be expected in a 60 car one class field, but I think if I could have gotten past that E46, it would have been a different story. But he had just enough on the straights, and Nav and I are just different enough that we couldn't, or maybe Nav didn't think to let me come up to him and try and bump draft past this guy.
Right.
But the E46 had us a little bit like at the top end on the straights. We had him by gobs in the corners and braking.
When he scrubs you coming through Oak Tree, it's going to be hard to get around him because he kills your momentum out of Oak Tree, and you're not going to hit your mile per hour that you normally do. So
yeah,
you got no chance, and especially no chance at the end of the straightaway.
I mean, you can do a now you see me, now you don't. I'm next to you because I just dive bombed you on the brakes, but you got to know you have like 150 or 100 feet on the guy, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, when you come off the straightaway, are you going to? If now you see me, now you don't. Are you going inside of the next corner, or are you coming left off the straightaway and trying to beat him to the inside? You know what I'm saying?
So, like, if he wasn't taking a defensive line into one, I would act like I'm going to just stay behind him until I see brake lights, and then I'll shoot inside, and then I'll hit the brakes a little late. That's my strategy anyway.
Thanks. I won't let you do that to me.
Well, the benefit is, if you do it right, they'll only have to look to their door before they turn in. They won't have to actually look behind them before they turn in.
Racecraft. So your car was on some Crowler cams. They didn't work out. You were on.
They may have also been what killed the engine.
Possibly. But we can't necessarily assign blame, though it probably was. But how did it feel when you were driving it now with the ITR cams, the factory ones?
I think it felt a little better than it did last year with the GSR cams. It certainly felt miles better than the Crowler cams. Crowler cams are marginally better than turning off VTEC entirely.
Okay.
On the stock cams. So, like, that's the level of difference you get. So, yeah, I went from last time out at Summit, struggle bus to pass Miata to now the cars in my class at least can't walk around me on the straights like I'm not there. Like, you have to work at it a little bit. So that was encouraging. The added... I don't think I got super close to the limit when the tires were warm. We had some issue getting rear temp in the tire on the warm-up on Saturday.
Right.
But once the tires were up to temp, it didn't seem like I was as close to the limit as I was on the used stuff. So there's some seat time that's needed, I think, to better understand how to use the tires when they're not 8 years old and clapped out.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. This weekend was my first set of stickers on the car. So, yeah. I bought scrubs from other people that were like, these are last year's tires. I don't want to use them. I bought all brand new tires. That's what I've been doing. But, like brand new March 2023 scrub or fresh stickers, it's a world of difference, to be honest. How did the start go for you during the race? Because in my perspective, it was wild. I had some drifter, Chelsea, somebody or another, pull his
Chelsea DeNova.
Yeah, he pulled his drift car up, jumped into a borrowed Mustang, I'm assuming. And
I think Ford helped make sure that was provided.
Yeah, got him suited up. He was like 2 spots ahead of me. Going into turn 1, you and I are used to standing starts. And
that race might as well have been a standing start.
You were that far back
in second gear. We were slow in the back, dude, because they wanted everybody to see the start, I think. I don't normally see the start. Like, if we do a Beast of the East and it's rolling,
yeah, I
don't normally see the start stand.
Okay.
I'll be in that trough between, like, right after hog pen, but before you climb up onto the front straight.
Right.
Where you can't see
anything
for a flag station. Yeah. That's normally when I take the green.
So I took it, and I was on the outside. That was my position. coming through 2x2. And I didn't want to be on the outside, but enough people slept on the flag that I could not just accelerate on the outside. So I jumped the outside line and I ran hard all the way into the turn. And I spent a lot of time, like, we were coming around, and I really warm up my front tires, and I try to keep my brakes warm-ish. You can't really get them up to temperature enough. We had over 60 cars during the race, because we had like 4 or 5 cars that didn't qualify join. So I think we were at like 61, 63, something like that. I'm in the middle of it. Middle-ish. I was 39th. And when I can gain 10 positions in one, and by turn 1, I'm going to do it. And I just let her sing. But I had to pull off probably 3 laps early, I think, because my speed sensor, the VSS on my car, is apparently dead. And it put me into limp mode in 5th and 6th gear. I don't know why only 5th and 6th gear, but when you can't accelerate down the back straightaway at VIR, or the front straightaway at VIR, or up the uphill S's at VIR, it's not going to be a good day. So I had to pull in during the race. So
yeah, for me on my start, there was a kid in a green Miata, like a black and green Miata, and I think he looked like he was 14. And that, I think, played into my decision about how I approached the start, because there was a big gap in front of him. He's a Miata, and he's not accelerating super great. And I came roaring up on him, and I had 3 options: check up, bump him, and help him learn what acceleration is, or hope that I could go in the grass and keep one tire on the pavement and hope I stay straight around all those other cars in a fun race.
Yeah, that's a low percentage move. So
yeah, and I didn't know how the kid would react on a bump, and if I gave him a bump, it probably would have been a pretty hard bump.
Yeah,
because I think I was coming in on him at like 10 miles an hour or more. So that kind of tracked me to turn 1.
Is it a black body with a green top?
I don't know. It had like green. Hold on. I can look at something.
There's someone who races a black car with a green top. It's got green stuff on the body too, but it's like a green painted top. He looks like he's a kid still, but he's not. But also, those Miatas are well used, and if you tap them in the back, they may just disintegrate in front of you. So, I don't know if I'll be bump drafting into Miatas for fun, even in a fun race. So
yeah, no, I think looks like I got him on the bridge straight on the opening lap.
Yeah,
GTL or something. Anyway,
yeah,
not important. The important thing is I kind of got stuck, and that wasn't a huge deal. But if he hadn't been there, I think we would have run 5 positions up instead of 5 positions down at the start.
Yeah, I think you guys actually made a bigger jump because was it your post on Instagram? I was looking at somebody's post, and I know I made huge jumps by turn 3, and you guys were only like 8 cars back. So you might have jumped
I don't know.
a lot more than you think. But
I feel like I had to let a bunch of cars by because there was this Miata in front of me that just couldn't accelerate like an E46.
Right.
And so, since I wasn't in lane, the option was like, judge how big of a gap I needed before the next guy comes up to switch lanes, or just wait a little bit. And it being basically a fun race, I was like, I don't want to screw anything up.
I mean, I think
early in the weekend,
the big takeaway for me is that we didn't get into a gigantic cluster in turn 1. It was not comfortable. I've never experienced that kind of turn one, but nobody started crashing into each other. And I think that's good. There was a level of respect out of drivers. We had drivers from the West Coast come all the way out here. I was talking to Jack Cabetto, like California, Michigan. I mean, they were coming from all over to race, or come to HYPERFEST, and they decided to do HFGT. Overall, it seemed like a good race. I don't even think it got double yellowed. I don't remember a double yellow. I wasn't out there the whole time, so.
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly a few retirements. I think I counted at least 3, including myself, and then you, so that's 4.
Oh, and we weren't last. So, I think I started 39th, and Race Hero says I jumped to a certain number. I don't even feel like looking it up, but I finished 49th. So there was over 60 cars. So you're talking at least a dozen retirements from the race for various reasons. Some people, they wanted to take the start. They wanted to see what they could do. If they couldn't get, hard charger or whatever, they were going to bag it just to keep the car for the weekend.
So most of the cars, we had 3 points races after this. So it would be the smart move to save the car, for sure.
Yeah, and I was distraught because I knew I had 3 points races and I had a check engine light. And so Saturday after HFGT, I pull a code reader, we throw it on there, and I turn the key, and the check engine light is gone. The reader says there's nothing. So I went out to qualify, and about 2/3 of the way through qualifying, it came back on. It went back into limp mode, and I went to go see Kevin Helms. Shout out to Honda Works, the team Honda Works, and Kevin Helms. He stuck around all weekend, even though he had his own issues with the CTR. He threw a code reader on it, and it was a P720. So that's how I found out it was my vehicle speed sensor. I was trying to find somebody who had a vehicle speed sensor who wasn't in the session, who wasn't going to be in the session before my race. That didn't occur. I called every parts store within a 100-mile radius of Danville, Virginia. Nobody had one. Chad didn't have one. The king of K-Series, he didn't carry any. None of the other K-Series guys I talked to had any. So I basically had to sit out Saturday's race, points race, which was disappointing, but it happens, and you won't catch me without a vehicle speed sensor again. Knowing me, I'll buy one. Well, I'll buy 2 because I need to put one in the car and one in the case or in the totes, and I'll never need it again, and I'm okay with that. So, but you were out of the race altogether, but you had another race that evening, right?
I did have a backup plan. So I did the Hot Wheels, or the Power Wheels downhill race that HYPERFEST does. I did it last year. I made some modifications to the setup Saturday, I think Friday night. I did those modifications. So I cut a little channel to put my leg in to make that a little bit more comfortable as you go down the hill. And I changed the spacers that I have on the rear axle, since when you take the motor out, there's suddenly like 4 inches of slop on the rear axle. So if you don't do something about that and, put some washers in and other things to make sure that like the wheels don't literally want to fall off, you're going to have a very hard time maintaining control down the hill.
Right.
And so I did that. It seemed to help. And then the race actually happened. And being waitlisted, you end up kind of going at the end. And so you're going down the hill. I made it through the first sort of level of carnage. And then I was approaching another group because I was going reasonably quick. And this guy's watching me as I come up on him. and he takes an inside line. I'm trying to go on the outside, and he just starts easing over to me. And then once I'm right alongside, he just turns into me to run me off the road. So I try and reposition my car by kicking his car. That doesn't work. So I try kicking it again, and that didn't work either. And then when we both went off the track, my wheel found a little divot, and his, I think, rode straight over. So he, I think, continued on, but I did a little roll in the grass, and that was my Power Wheels race.
So you got knocked out in round 1?
Pretty much. And then, since I was only halfway down the hill, the pickup trucks didn't stop to pick me up when the rest of my heat got dragged up the hill.
Yeah. So
I watched the next heat from the flag station down there.
So for everybody who doesn't attend HYPERFEST and watch this lunacy, I should have had my Power Wheels done. I hinted at a top secret build. It's still in the works.
It's still secret because nobody's seen it.
Nobody's gonna see it. Well, that's not true. Mike might see it. I need to make it fancy too. But it's at the roller coaster at VIR. How far up were they starting you guys? Did you had the were they starting you all the way at the top or right at the first left-hand turn?
Just after the first left-hand.
Okay. So they shortened it up a little bit. It's probably best. You put a grown adult, a 200-pound adult in this Power Wheels that has no engine drag on it, and you're doing 35 or 40 miles an hour by the time you get to the bottom. So when people wear...
Well, that's assuming you don't get spun out on the way down.
Yeah. I literally watched a friend of mine get taken out by a grown man in a helmet. He was working the course, and he went off track, flew off of his Power Wheels, and hit a person, and he ended up with 4 broken ribs and a concussion. So,
yeah,
I
saw that closer than a lot of the other crowds, and it looked like a bad hit.
So when you're doing this, like I brought my motorcycle gear a couple years ago when I did it, because I'm not playing around. Like, I'm not trying to die. So, and you can get hurt. Like, he got pretty hurt, probably from the force of the person hitting him. But that you could have also, like, if he wasn't there to stop the guy probably would have been pretty hurt too. So you have to be careful.
I heard they were both pretty hurt.
Both of them? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he probably wasn't expecting to hit anything, right? You know, you're expecting, okay, I'll go off and I'll roll through the grass, but
yeah,
not much more than that.
Right.
A year or two ago, a buddy of mine was also doing the race. Mm-hmm. He tore his ACL doing the Lamar start thing.
Oh, wow.
His leg got tweaked a little bit as he tried to jump in, and it didn't go well.
Oh, wow.
So you can get hurt. I did it I wore actual shoes, not flip-flops, and jeans. Yeah. And my race helmet. But this year I got video. Last year I didn't, which I regret.
Yeah. I videoed mine too. It was great. So pro tip, where did you kick this other person's car that was not effective? So nobody else does that.
The front corner.
Did you hit the wheel or did just the car itself? Just
the body of the car. In my defense, that was what was closest and what I could reach.
Okay.
In hindsight, I should have pitted his ass as I saw him looking back over his shoulder.
Right.
Been okay.
Throw the pit maneuver on him and keep going.
Well, and just hope that I don't also crash and die.
Yeah.
Because there's no steering authority, none.
Yeah.
So when you try and you can line up a hit, but you have no control
afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's part of the struggle.
Yeah, I was surprised I didn't spin going down the hill catching up to him. Because last year, it was so fishtaily, it picked up kind of a death wobble on the rear. And there's no steering authority, so you're kind of stuck with it. And you try and ride it out. And this year, it didn't really build up. So I think the axle spacer was solid. There is a significant amount of dynamic toe looseness in the front axle, and I think if you get that squared away, you'll have a really good car.
Don't give out those secrets. Come on, man. Some people are trying to win. I don't know what you win, but some people are trying to win.
Heard stories of a custom Power Wheels or something. I've never seen it. It didn't appear to be on display anywhere, so who knows?
I think if you hit the Coney website, or not the website, the Coney Instagram page, you'll find it. I think it was a vet. Coney Power Wheels vet. So you might have to check that out if anybody wants to see what you win. So what else did you get into Saturday night, since you like to frolic with the drifters?
Yeah, so I have friends in the drifting world, largely because of where I live and the fact that I own a 240. If you have other 240 friends, a lot of them are going to be into drifting.
They're all into drifting. It's a requirement.
Some of them are into drinking.
Drinking and drifting.
Yes. So, I know from the car club I was in at Virginia Tech, I know Chris Meyer and Kendrick Meyer. They're drift guys that were here. My buddy Ivan just bought a motorhome, old 80s bus thing. So we're hanging out in that. He brings a bunch of motorcycles and pit bikes around. He does not do the pit bike racing that we all found so annoying. And then my buddy Mateen, who comes out to our races to help me out, he's there doing it because it's a big drift event, and it's one that you probably shouldn't miss in a media-heavy sport like that.
Yeah.
So I was bouncing around between normally 2 or 3 different spots over on the drift side when I would go hang out with them.
So normally I wouldn't encourage this talk, but I was talking to my wife on the way home because she just had a lot of questions. She's been in the NASA family for probably as long as me, maybe not quite as long, but it seems like if you can get a drift spot at HYPERFEST, it's all the drifting your car could possibly take. It's all you hear. It's all you see. My first HYPERFEST as a racer, they were drifting Patriot course, and I was going up the uphill S's, and I can hear the screeching of tires, and I'm like, who's dying in front of me or behind me? Like it could be a distraction to the race that's going on the full course outside. It's nonstop.
I mean, that's why they mention it in the driver's meeting.
I know it doesn't prepare you enough. It really doesn't.
I guess a lot of those guys haven't actually done drift events and they don't know what to expect.
I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's fun. They have a couple of different run groups based on skill. So there's like the kind of regular Joe amateur thing. Then there's I'm going to call it advanced amateur. I don't know what they actually call it. But, then you have the things for people who are more advanced, people who are running the Pro 2 series or the Drift Tour series and things like that.
Right. And
then you have the pro guys, the Adam LZ groups, the Von Gittin Jr. with RTR.
Yeah.
And they're showing up with I'll bet they're not actually the pro cars. They're just liveried the same. I'll bet they're demo cars.
Okay. Well,
potentially like last year's pro car. At least that's how I think a lot of them used to run it.
Right.
Is, those are expensive builds. If you walk up to the FD Pro series.
Yeah, full FD builds got to cost a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of engineering that goes into those cars.
Just the car builds are into, I think, multiple 6 figures, I would guess.
Oof.
Not counting the engineering and test programs around that to make the build decisions. They're big time motorsport stuff. So, you've got 3 tiers. They made the wise decision not to do hyperdrives on Saturday this year, because they forgot to tell people last year that drifting was going to get interrupted for hyperdrive, so they had to start taking sessions away from drifters to make the hyperdrives happen.
Right.
Which has predictable results with your drivers. They say, I paid for the time, why don't I get it?
Right.
So they're making improvements there. And so they had drifting basically on Patriot all day Saturday, which was solid. They had it drifting. They were drifting on it all day Friday too. Sunday they had to switch to the skid pad where the pros were, but were no longer because the hyperdrives finally happened on the Patriot course on Sunday. There's 2 or 3 different run groups. Like we have HBD 1, 2, or 3, and they're out there burning tires all day long.
Yeah.
If you're into it, you can spectate. Patriot's a decent spot to spectate, although you can't see the backside of Patriot, which the drivers absolutely love. I've not drifted Patriot, but I have drifted up at Summit Point every one of their tracks except for the kart track. And from what they tell me in comparison to that, it is a very good time.
Yeah. So that's a big draw. And if people didn't realize when we were talking about your gate entry, the total number of gate entries on Friday alone, not Saturday when everybody tried to show up, Friday gate entries were more than who totally attended in 2022. So,
and 2022 was not a slow year in terms of
correct.
Attendance. It was a pretty good year.
Correct. And then Saturday happened. So take that into perspective when you want to go to HYPERFEST. It's growing at a disproportional rate to motorsports in general. So be wary, make a plan. And it's a 3-day event, so you might as well take a couple more days off work because you're going to be there for a while, in my opinion. I don't normally deal with any of the drifting. I actually get a headache from tire smoke. So when the wind changed and it started blowing through main paddock, I was a little salty. I won't lie. Just because I had to go search and find Advil in the truck and take it because I knew I was just going to get a headache if I didn't. But it's a skill set, right? It's a level of car control that we don't necessarily get to. So,
I tried drifting. Well, I tried having a car that was set up to do both, and in the end, you get neither. And the problem for me was after like my first or second event, I only got worse at drifting. First, 2-3 days, better and better and better, and then it just went downhill after that. But it did teach me a lot about really good car control, and being comfortable counter steering and throttle steering to maintain a slide in a controlled way, so that when things do go sideways on you,
literally,
you don't have to think about what to do. You just throw the wheel and modulate throttle, and that's what you know how to do.
Yeah.
Just like knowing the difference between what to do in a car that has ABS versus one that doesn't, in a brake zone where things don't quite go to plan. That kind of experience is really helpful.
Well, speaking of ABS, that was all my Sunday woes. So Sunday, you were spectator. Where did you watch the races? Did you even watch our races? Or did you go party?
I might have been out till after 2 on Saturday.
Maybe. When your car's broke, it's okay.
Your car's broke, you got a bunch of friends who are already there just to party.
Right.
It's hard to argue against that course of action. I think I was out after you guys went out for qualifying. I was on the road by 12. I was stopping for lunch at 12:30. So
okay.
Yeah, I don't think I saw either race.
We had a 10 o'clock, 10:30, something like that race in the morning. Adam from the K-Swap episode at 00 Civic he was hot swapping his vehicle speed sensor with mine because it worked out for Sunday. It didn't work out for Saturday. And Sunday's race, without good qualifying time, on Saturday, I was second to last in the group. But my car can basically do a mean standing start. I'm starting to dial that in a little bit. And I went from second to last to third by turn 1, maybe turn 2, and I never looked back. So my Saturday,
I want to see the video from that.
The Sunday morning race, I finished third. So I think that's my highest finish to date. I might have one other third place. It always happens on a Sunday. It's never going to happen on a Saturday. I'm content with that. To be honest, it's very surprising for me to finish that high. Mostly there was some attrition and stuff going on. I say mostly. Chris was having some issues, so he pulled in. But we knew he was going to pull in anyway.
Yeah, because Chris was having his issues. Mark was out. I was out.
Right. And so it was Brent, Michael Young, and then myself, Sunday morning. And so, riding high, getting a lot more time in the seat, things seemed to be okay. We were swapping things around, and then Sunday afternoon, probably the best race I've had in a while, guaranteed the best race I've had this year. Hunter and I were duking it out, and I'm going to smack him because his camera stopped working, and all my camera is going to show you is how to be defensive against a missile of a Accord station wagon. And then somewhere in the race, my ABS failed. And on the last lap going into turn 4, I tried to go from 4th gear to 3rd. The car didn't want to come out of gear. I, like a moron or a novice, I looked down at my shifter going into turn 4 because it wasn't leaving. Like I can't feel that. And I jammed the brakes harder. Normally it's not a big deal because my ABS will save me. No, it didn't save me. So I almost go off in turn 4. He cuts up underneath me. I know I have to try to get him back by Oak Tree because if he's in front of me on the straightaway, there's no way I can touch that car on the straightaway. Thing is absolutely out of control on straightaways. So I come into Oak Tree and they're already flat spotted. I have no ABS. I'm pushing way too hard and I go off an Oak Tree. The bonus is my homemade-ish splitter setup that I had didn't break. So didn't bend, didn't tweak, nothing. So I purposely entered the track. I came back on track a different way. So, but yeah. So yeah. I was at the time 4th. He was on my tail and not leaving me alone, in which he shouldn't. We were dodging through E30s and spec Miata groups and all that stuff, and he never quit. He never let me, Miata mic him and pick him with another Miata or something. So, good for him. It was a hell of a race. Yeah, he did everything he needed to do, and he got it. So I'm proud of him. Not disappointed in myself, really, but we literally from the first lap, probably the same ST5 E36 that you guys were having problems with caused us issues. That's why Mike got away from us. And then I was being defensive, so I couldn't run or make a good run. And but that's okay. So I ended up finishing 5th. I believe Brent won. Mike was second, I think. I don't remember. I know Naveen had to pull off early, and I'm not sure why. I should check in on him and see how he's doing. But
yeah, I don't know. I know he really doesn't care about local results. He's only focused on nationals qualification. So if it was the second race, he probably just said, I don't need the finish.
I mean, that's fine. He was right there with us. It was myself, then Hunter, then Naveen for many, many laps. So I don't know. I don't know when he decided to pull off, but I was still focused on the gigantic Accord behind me and then whatever was in front of me. So, yeah. But overall, a good weekend for me. I'll take it. The object of my weekend was not to podium, not to even place fifth. I don't care. I wanted to test what was going on with the car, and the alignment change. It worked. So that's all I wanted. So.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't too bad for the seat time I did get. I'm bummed that I lost most of my seat time due to mechanical. But the changes we were making seemed to be going in the right direction. New tires are obviously better than the trash I was running before.
Right.
And I'm bummed that I missed all 3 points races. Didn't even start them.
Yeah. As the defending regional champion, for you missing all the points races, that's going to be pretty rough on you. But I promise we won't count you out.
Well, because this is now 5 races that I have no points in. So March VIR didn't make the event. April, I showed up. It was a big field, and I finished pretty far down. This weekend, much smaller field, but I didn't get to actually partake in any of the points. So, yeah. But that's okay. That really isn't my goal. My goal this year is to make the car more competitive, get it up into the mid-pack of our region, and be able to be in contention for a podium here and there like you were. That's kind of my goal, and I think that needs to be the goal based on the lap times I had last year and where I think they need to be this year. Yeah, it's a bummer about the engine, but to be honest, I'm surprised it didn't happen last year. That's a 263,000 mile engine.
Right.
And we put 1,000 track miles on it last year.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so,
yeah.
I mean, whether it was the heavy timing that was needed to make those bad Crowler cams work, or just father time, or pulling the vacuum cap,
or both, or all of it.
HFGT race.
I don't think it was the vacuum cap.
Try and squeak out. Yeah, but it was an extra 4 horsepower in theory, and that was the race where you could basically do that without running afoul of any rules. I probably wouldn't have done it in our races, just because I think that the throttle body's supposed to be the only thing that lets air through, the way the rules are written. But
probably. So you towed home, I towed home, everybody's safe. I didn't hear about any catastrophes on the way home, except for Jack Capetto apparently this morning had a flat, but I haven't heard anything else from anybody else. So
I think I saw Jackie had a flat on their tire once they got home on Instagram.
Yeah, one of the things HYPERFEST did allow me is to share track with folks I don't normally get to share track with. So Kevin Helms, Jackie from Jackie's Corner podcast, folks from the Southeast were around. Fans came up, like people who listen to the podcast came up. You and I shared a paddock space. Well, I and Adam shared 2 paddock spaces. So we fit 3 cars where normally people fit 2. And then next to us was Boston out of the Southeast running H1. Getting to meet people that are just basically internet friends, but knowing we share the same passion is a great experience for me.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's always a little weird because I know what their cars look like, but I have no idea what the person looks like half the time.
Yeah.
Nor do I often know what their actual name is. Like, I know your Instagram name and I know the car, but I don't know it's somebody named Dave on the other end.
Right. I mean, there was like your first whole year you called me Mike, so I mean, we're bald and we have goatees, so sort of fits.
Yeah, there's you and Mike and Zach and Mike that I just had like wrong for half the season.
Yeah, it's fine. No big deal. I'm terrible with names too, so it's okay. Any hot tips for anyone outside of make a plan to attend? Don't just go, I think I'm going to go at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. That's when everybody else does. So don't do that. Have a plan. Take more days off.
Yeah, like, remember the water? I stopped like 3 times on the way down, and I was like, I'll get water on the next stop, and I never did. So I was hurting a little bit due to that on parts of the weekend. There's a lot of traffic. Running out to town in the evening is not nearly as easy as it normally is.
Yeah.
So plan to be fairly self-sufficient in terms of what you bring to the track.
That includes racers because they left to go get parts. And I know of a racer who left to go get parts, not one of the Honda Challenge guys. And he got stuff from the parts store, and it took him 40 minutes to get through the gate, which is actually a light time considering some of the complaints I heard. But that 40 minutes cost him the ability to get on track for his race. So you have to be much more self-sufficient. It's literally a party going on, a festival going on while we're racing. They're partying on the inside of the track and we're racing around it, So
yeah, I would say also like go walk through the drift paddock, make some new friends who are into different stuff. Observe kind of the other side of motorsports. It seems to be pretty rare, and I don't quite understand why, because the few people I do know who know, like, the road racing side and the drifting side, there's different parts of that, each group that we all like, and it's not always the same things. But I think the more broad your exposure in motorsports, kind of the more versatile you can end up being. You might see some janky shit that a drift guy does and be able to suggest a less janky way to approach something. Or they might give you some ideas on, either cost savings or car control build. There is, like, if you want to know about Ackerman on your steering setup, go talk to a drift guy.
Oh, yeah.
They know that better than any road racers I've ever met. They're in a different world in terms of traction requirements, and there's always something you can learn from a different discipline, where they focus on a different piece of the puzzle. So I'd encourage people to go check that out. I know they are a different kind of people, right? Like, they're not your BMW club racers. Most of them would be thrown out of most of our events. Most of the time, they don't start their hot track, like, drivers meeting till like 10 or 11 a.m.
Yeah.
We've already been on track for 4 hours.
Right.
But there's still stuff you can learn, and there's still, good perspectives that are out there that a lot of people, I think, stick their nose up at.
So if you go back to the track family episode, it's just expanding members of your track family. They're your second cousins twice removed, and that's okay. My wife, she was an avid off-road enthusiast. She's got a Jeep. She will take her little 31 tires in her Jeep and slam them on rocks and drag them across rocks and do everything she needs to do. Chaos Fab was there, and we went to go talk to them just because they were the ones that gave her many years ago at a Jeep event the magnetic koozie that everybody covets. So we went over there to see if they had any more. Hot take, check the Chaos Fab website. They just did a logo redesign, so we were told we should check it out because they might put some new ones out there. So if you want a magnetic koozie, I don't know where to get them, or I'd just give away Blind Apex magnetic koozies, but maybe I'll have to search the ends of the internet or Alibaba for that. But
I know at least one guy, unironically, in the drift world who has magnetic koozie merch. I will send you a link.
Yes. See, Drift family is good family then. When you guys get the Blind Apex podcast magnetic koozies, you have to thank a drifter. The other thing is off-roaders, drifters, they carry different stuff than we do. So if you have friends over there, I know a couple of road racers that carry a welder. I know a lot of off-roaders that carry a welder. I know a couple more drifters carry welders than, it may not be your favorite welder, but they carry something that burns metal together. So things like that, they carry different stuff. We should share. We should help each other out. It's a good place to meet people. They're all there to have fun. You're there to have fun. So don't turn your nose up at them. Yeah, they might look a little different, but it's all good. We're all special in our own way. So any more tips for attending HYPERFEST and surviving one?
Not really, because I didn't survive this one. But I think the main thing is it's a big event. There's a lot of racing if you're a racer. It's a high publicity event, which we don't get as club racers in road racing all that often. Yeah. So I would generally say that it's probably worth it to bring more spares than normal.
For sure.
Things you might normally leave home, bring those in. If you don't need them, somebody else might. But if you need it, now you're ready to throw it in the car instead of trying to wait, getting the part from town, or just packing it in for the weekend. You can get that track time in front of an audience. And yeah, if growing any sort of social media following or telling a sponsor that, hey, I'm at this big event is important to you. Being able to stay on track during that stuff, that kind of matters. So yeah, I would say bring extra spares.
Well, I'm going to have an episode about social media stuff. I'm still working on getting everything finalized with my social media expert. But if you don't have a ton of pictures from HYPERFEST, you did it wrong.
I don't have a ton of pictures, but I do have 5 videos in the works.
Okay. That's just as good, right? Everybody knows the reels are the best thing going, but we need diversified material. You need it to stretch a little longer. You may even want to pocket something for next year. Some promo stuff if you're going to attend, just to promote yourself. So,
hot take on pocketing material for next year: just repost it next year. Throw up everything you have. Social media is a moving dartboard where it feels like you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle,
right?
And it's very hard to predict. So, you throw a lot of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And if it sticks, then it's perfectly acceptable to repost, repackage, clone in a very similar but slightly different way, and see if you can catch it again.
Yeah. So take lots of pictures, bring sunscreen, water, plan to be there more than 3 days, or 3 days. Like, come the night before, come really early, be first at the gate, whatever. Be ready to sit in line. That includes the bathrooms. I didn't go to the other side. I don't know what the porta-johns look like, but I know what the bathrooms were looking like. They weren't. It's not what I would call unhealthy, but there was a line. There was a line at the bathrooms, the showers, the everything.
Yes.
So just be prepared. You're gonna need to be patient. We were
know where the secret showers are.
Well, yeah, there's those too, but don't tell people
also,
that.
Have friends with RVs that have bathrooms.
Yes, that's helpful too. Assuming they're allowed to use their own bathroom. Some of them are in the state of disrepair where their plumbing doesn't work. Take care of your RVs, people. But
my friends this weekend were 2 for 2 in terms of operational bathrooms in RVs.
Nice. That goes a long way. I will never own an RV because I got no place to put it, even though I own a lot of property. Well, what some people consider a lot of property, I don't consider a lot. But yeah. No saved rounds. You think we're good, huh, Steve?
Yeah, I think that's probably a wrap for HYPERFEST this year. It was a good time. I'll be back there next year, and hopefully with more track time for myself.
Yes, more track time. Everyone needs more track time. Now that I got the car feeling a little bit better, it's all about me and improving me as a driver. I don't need to throw money at the car now that it handles correctly. Or I know the direction to go a little more if I need a little looser. So,
yep.
I think that's a wrap, bud. I really appreciate you coming on again. Thanks for spending this hour-ish amount of time with me so we could put out a podcast, man. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks. Take care.